It's May 2017 in Dubai, at one of the world's most prestigious hotels, when the wedding of Daniel Kinahan, a member of a notorious Irish underworld family, takes place. And in the middle of the splendour of this festive day, the agents of the American DEA spot even more familiar faces. Indeed, the most important leaders of criminal organisations are on the guest list. Ridouan Taghi, the godfather of the Dutch Mocro Maffia; Edin, the head of the Tito Dino cartel, considered one of the 50 biggest drug traffickers in the world; and finally, Raffaele Imperiale, an Italian criminal linked to the Neapolitan mafia branch Camorra. The Americans do not believe that the meeting between these notorious criminals is a coincidence, but rather a sign of collusion. Indeed, the police suspect that they have joined forces to control a large part of the European cocaine trade. We will give the group the name of Super Cartel. This initiative would be born from an idea of Daniel Kinahan in order to ensure record profits for its members, each of which should, in turn, bring something to the table. The Bosnian, Edin, known for his direct link with South American suppliers; Ridouan Taghi for his mastery of the ports in Antwerp and Rotterdam; and the Italians for their know-how in money laundering. One of the first links between these members appeared in 2016, when a member of the Mocro Maffia, Raffaele F., was found in an apartment in Ireland. Indeed, the Irish police were conducting a search of the property that had been identified as a base of the Kinahan group, in which two of its top lieutenants were supposedly hiding. However, neither of them were present.
Also in the apartment, we came across a male, short, stocky, spoke to us in broken English.
Although he told the Garda that he was visiting Dublin for only 2 days, a souvenir photo from the Dublin Zoo from a few months ago suggested that the stay was longer. In addition, the man in question was in possession of a false Dutch passport, a false Belgian ID card, and numerous luxury items. Finally, it turned out that he was indeed the right-hand man of Ridouan Taghi, and now Raffaele would have used the apartment as a command centre. Thanks to the encrypted telephones, he and his associates ordered assassinations in the Netherlands. One of these targets was an Iranian national by the name of Ali Mohammed.
In december 2015 werd Ali Mohammed doodgeschoten in de Hendrik Marsmanstraat in Almere. Het Parool onthulde eerder dit jaar dat Mohammed in werkelijkheid de uit Iran gevluchte Mohammad Reza Kolahi Samadi was. Hij zou in zijn moederland een aanslag hebben gepleegd waar 73 mensen om het leven kwamen.
From the messages decrypted by the Dutch police, it appears that Raffaele played an important role in the murder. He would have hired a hitman in Almere after receiving €130,000 from a payer whose identity had never been found. Suspicions turned to the Iranian government. Nevertheless, the investigation was never able to prove its involvement. What is clear is that after the connection was uncovered by US agents during the wedding in Dubai, a file full of information was received by Dutch authorities from the DEA agency on this alleged European super cartel. This is not surprising, because all the mentioned leaders have a connection to the Netherlands, like the Kinahans, who have been coming to the country for years, or Edin, a citizen of Bosnia who, while fleeing his country's war, spent most of his life on Dutch soil, where he met important underworld figures. One would go so far as to say that the capital, Amsterdam, is considered the drug exchange in Europe. And so, this alliance between criminal groups would be a logical result to join forces. Police estimate that 100 tons of cocaine were smuggled to the port of Rotterdam each year, a third of which would have been under the cartel's control. What must be taken into consideration is that each organisation had already established its own operations to distribute drugs, and the alliance, in this case, would only have facilitated the process through exclusive contracts. Let's illustrate this with the Tito and Dino cartel, which would have had a virtual monopoly on Peruvian coke. In fact, the group is said to have cooperated with local criminals from whom they obtained drugs. Edin had established links with 4 criminal families in Peru, each of which operated separately and exclusively. He had even founded a company that officially dealt with the transport of textiles in the country. But his speciality was the transport of cocaine, as Marita Barreto Riviera, nicknamed the Steel Prosecutor, pointed out. The latter launched the fight against the drug cartels in Peru and the vast network set up by Edin G, seen as the Escobar of the Balkans. In the meantime, several members of his group have been caught by the police. And in September 2020, Los Cinches, members of the Special Police Paratrooper Unit, made a landing in the jungle, destroying up to 5 tons of chemical supplies for the production of drugs linked to the Tito cartel. Although Peru has become a key transit point in the export of cocaine from Bolivia and Colombia to key markets, Edin is also said to have created connections with the Clan del Golfo in Colombia, whose leader, Otoniel, was arrested last year in what has even been described as the most severe blow to drug trafficking during this century. The presence of Edin, but also of other Balkan groups, is not new when the link with Colombia goes back years, with negotiators sent from the Balkans to the depths of the Colombian jungle to make deals face to face. And the group around Edin would have first forged a personal relationship with Otoniel's right-hand man, Chiquito Malo, who today has inherited the position given up by the leader. Thus, in just 2 years, law enforcement agencies around the world have seized more than 14 tons of cocaine linked to the Tito and Dino cartel, including a shipment of 5,300 kilograms hidden in bananas shipped from Medellin for the port of Antwerp, Belgium in 2017. And more recently, the group suffered a major blow, with 23 people arrested in several raids in Europe. According to media reports, the members also worked simultaneously for a powerful Balkan clan, Kavac, and during the takedown, the key person was a man named Nebo, who was in charge of the group's logistics. As soon as he heard noise in the apartment where he was staying, he cut his cell phone in half and threw it out of the window. Authorities believe that he had a direct connection to the boss Edin via this phone before he was arrested. However, Edin is believed to have been enjoying his freedom in Dubai, from where he currently runs his operations. This is also the headquarters of the Kinahans, who can be directly linked to the Colombians. This access could have been facilitated by Edin's contact list. Indeed, each organization would have brought money and contacts to finance this powerful group that had flooded Europe with cocaine for 5 years. This was an extraordinary period for the continent, which was hit by a real tsunami of cocaine. And the role of Ridouan Taghi was crucial. To understand this, let's trace one of the drug routes undertaken by the Kinahans. In 2009, this name appears in a diplomatic cable issued by the American Embassy in Sierra Leone to Belgium that was made public by WikiLeaks. It turns out that Daniel had an interest in expanding his network to West Africa, and last year it turned out that the project was realized. The Irish cartel had taken control of the lucrative cocaine corridor in Africa. Once the drugs landed in the southwestern part of Africa, the gang had used air ambulances to transport the cocaine to the north of the continent, and it was there that Mocro Maffia members played a strategic role in using well-known cannabis smuggling routes to ship cocaine to Europe. It seems that the Kinahan Sr. had even mentioned this new business venture for planes that were supposed to carry emergency drugs during the COVID period. On the other hand, by travelling the classic drug route, the Kinahans took advantage of their union with Mocro, which controls the major ports in Antwerp and Rotterdam. In addition, the Moroccan gangsters were in charge of the continuous flow of shipments through the two Albanian and Serbian middlemen. This shows once again the Uberization of the criminal landscape, with a real melting pot in this professional environment. And the role of the Netherlands will be mentioned again in a money laundering of the Tito and Dino cartel. Some of the drug profits would be invested in real estate in Breda, which led to an important investigation on Edin's cousin Mirza G and various raids on his properties. Indeed, the latter would have injected millions to renovate buildings which were repaid in no time. The documents were made public through a Bosnian journalist who later received threats from Mirza G.
U video snimku kojeg je snimio sam Gačanin čuju se psovke i prijetnje novinaru Avdiću. Ova prijeteća poruka redakciji žurnala poslata je iz Holandije nakon što je Avdić na ovom portalu objavio niz tekstova o navodnoj povezanosti Gačanina sa narkokartelom Tito i Dino i višemilijonskim pranjem novca.
Evo kako me potražuju, gledaj. Evo, tu sam slobodan. Do dan danas niko me nije ni zvao ni na razgovor, niti su me tražili, niti su me uopsili ništa. Eto koje budalaštine, jarane moj.
As far as Edin is concerned, he is well surrounded by his bodyguards in Dubai. Indeed, when the drug lord went to Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina in 2016, he was under the protection of the 6 members of the special unit of the federal police. In exchange for the protection, passing through the Federal Ministry of Internal Affairs, Edin would have indirectly provided additional equipment to this Bosnian special unit. It turns out that one of the men from the special unit moved to Dubai and took over Edin's personal security, along with Miladin, another former member of the special police, and Sadikovic, a fugitive judoka. But the fate of the other members of the Super Cartel is not the same. In fact, the team of Ridouan Taghi has been shaken with, among others, Ricardo Riquelme Vega, a Chilean national arrested in 2017 in Santiago. The latter was in close contact with Raffaele through encrypted messages. The man himself had lived for years in Amsterdam, where he owned a coffee shop. Imperiale had been in possession of 2 extremely expensive works by Van Gogh since 2002.
Un imprenditore così facoltoso e smanioso di lusso e stralusso da avere comprato anni fa i 2 famosi quadri di Van Gogh rubati nel 2002 nel museo di Amsterdam e recuperati da finanza e polizia in un tinello della sua casa di Castellammare.
Recovered in 2016, these paintings were allegedly used as collateral for the South American coke trade.
Dubai police has arrested one of Italy's most wanted criminals.
Imperiale's tricks of vanishing and camouflaging his presence were not enough to fool the eyes of Dubai police. Thus, he fell, and his gang received a knockout blow.
Hiding for years in Dubai, he was finally arrested there before being deported to Italy for a long prison sentence. This is how the Super Cartel, discovered by the DEA, would have collapsed since then. However, Tito and the Kinahans are still playing in the big league. Even though the war against the Kinahans has seen unprecedented cooperation on a global scale, the Colombian barons still continue to work with them. There has been speculation that the Colombians have stopped supplying drugs. However, they don't mind the police crackdown, as long as the money is collected. The only difference now is that the Irish have lost their lines of credit, of fears they will be arrested as part of the investigation and must pay in advance for all shipments.